The memorial was held in the glass-walled atrium of Harlan Dynamics' new campus in Palo Alto, a building Victor had christened the Prism. Sunlight fractured through the prismatic roof and scattered across the mourners like shards of code. Evelyn Harlan stood at the edge of the crowd in a charcoal-sheathed dress she'd bought the day before at Nordstrom Rack. Nothing flashy, nothing that would draw attention. She had learned over 25 years of marriage how to disappear in plain sight. Victor's private jet had gone down in the Sierra Nevada 2 nights earlier, en route to a board vote that would have made him the youngest billionaire in clean energy history. The NTSB report was still preliminary, but the phrase catastrophic mechanical failure floated through the room like a ghost. Evelyn had read it on her phone while folding laundry at 3 a.m., the same way she used to read Victor's term sheets while the baby monitor glowed green beside her. At the podium, their son, Ethan, 31, founder of an AI ethics startup valued at $180 million, cleared his throat. He wore the same navy suit he'd worn to Y Combinator Demo Day. His voice cracked only once. "There's someone I need to thank. Someone who stood by Dad when the algorithms failed, when the investors bailed, when the nights got dark. Serena Voss." A murmur rippled outward. Heads turned. Serena rose from the front row in a black Saint Laurent jumpsuit, her auburn hair twisted into a knot that looked effortless but probably cost more than Evelyn's car. She dabbed at her eyes with a linen handkerchief embroidered with tiny silver circuits, Victor's old logo. The room exhaled in collective recognition. Of course, the venture capitalist who'd co-led Harlan Dynamics Series D. The woman who'd been photographed with Victor on the cover of Wired last year, both of them laughing in front of a holographic wind turbine. Evelyn felt the floor tilt. She gripped the back of a chair. No one looked at her. She was the wife who'd quit Stanford at 28 to raise Ethan, who debugged Victor's early code over takeout pad thai while he pitched angels in the living room. She was the ghost in the machine. Ethan continued, "Serena was family to us. She is family." Serena smiled. Small, practiced, triumphant, and sat down. The applause was polite, then enthusiastic. Evelyn's fingers went numb around the strap of her purse. The will was read 3 days later in a conference room on Sand Hill Road that smelled of mahogany and desperation. The lawyer, a man named Patel, with a voice like warm gravel, slid thick packets across the table. Pursuant to the trust executed by Mr. Victor Harlan on March 12, 2023, the entirety of his liquid assets, equity in Harlan Dynamics, the Atherton residence, and the crypto wallet designated Phoenix 7 shall pass to Miss Serena Voss. Evelyn heard the words, but they arrived in fragments, like packets dropped over a bad connection. She looked at Ethan. He stared straight ahead, jaw set, thumbs resting on the table like he was waiting for a turn sheet to load. "You knew?" she said quietly. Ethan's eyes flicked to her, then away. "Dad updated the trust after the Series E. He said you'd be taken care of." "Taken care of," Evelyn repeated. The phrase tasted like rust. Patel cleared his throat. "Mrs. Harlan, you are granted a lifetime tenancy in the guest house and a modest stipend." Evelyn stood. The chair rolled back and hit the glass wall with a soft thud. "I built the guest house," she said, "with my own hands while pregnant." No one answered. Serena wasn't there. She didn't need to be. She'd already won. That night, Evelyn sat in the home lab Victor had converted from the garage. The walls were lined with whiteboards covered in his manic scrawl, equations for turbine efficiency, doodles of rockets, a grocery list in Serena's handwriting. Almond milk, truffle oil, condoms. Evelyn stared at the list until the letters blurred. She opened the safe behind the 3D printer. Inside was the prototype tablet she'd built in grad school an aluminum slab with a cracked screen and a sticker that read, "Property of Evelyn Chen, do not touch." Victor had teased her for keeping it. "Sentimental value," she'd said. Now she powered it on. The battery icon blinked red, then green. The OS was her own fork of Linux, untouched since 2012. She plugged in a USB drive labeled Backup 2018. The drive whirred. Files cascaded across the screen. Source code, financial models, encrypted wallets. Victor had always bragged that she was the only person who could reverse engineer his messes. She hadn't touched code in 15 years, but muscle memory is patient. At 2:17 a.m., she found it. A smart contract on the Ethereum blockchain deployed 3 years ago. The beneficiary address resolved to a wallet controlled by Serena Voss. The contract funneled 2% of every Series D payout into a liquidity pool that auto-converted to stablecoins. Over 36 months, it had siphoned $28 million. The metadata included a single line of comment, //4S, our future, -V. Evelyn's laugh came out like a cough. She screenshotted everything, uploaded it to a new GitHub repo titled Phoenix 7 Audit, and set it to private. Then she poured herself a glass of the bourbon Victor kept for investors and toasted the dark. "To ghosts," she said. The lawsuit was filed in the Northern District of California on a Tuesday morning in June. Evelyn's attorney, Michelle Park, had once clerked for Judge Chen. No relation, but the irony wasn't lost on either of them. Michelle's office overlooked the bay, and when Evelyn walked in carrying a banker's box of printouts, Michelle didn't blink. "Fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and unjust enrichment," Michelle said, flipping through the blockchain ledger. "And a side of emotional distress if we're feeling spicy." "I don't want spicy, I want surgical," Evelyn said. They served Serena at a rooftop fundraiser for female founders in Soma. The process server was a former Uber driver who'd pivoted to legal tech. He handed Serena the summons while a drone filmed her reaction for TikTok. The clip went viral before dinner. Discovery was brutal. Serena's lawyers, 3 partners from Wilson Sonsini, tried to bury them in paperwork. Evelyn spent nights in the lab teaching herself Solidity so she could trace every transaction. She found more. A DAO that laundered Harlan Dynamics grants into Serena's VC fund, fake invoices for strategic advisory, signed by Victor's digital signature, and a Cayman Islands shell that owned the Atherton house before Victor ever transferred the deed. Ethan refused to speak to her. His last text, 3 weeks after the funeral. "You're embarrassing yourself. Dad trusted Serena with his vision. Let it go." She screenshotted it and added it to the evidence folder. The trial began in September. The courthouse in San Jose was a beige fortress surrounded by food trucks and protesters holding signs that read, "Code is law" and "Wives deserve royalties." Inside, the gallery was packed with tech reporters live tweeting every objection. Evelyn took the stand on day 4. She wore the same charcoal dress from the memorial, now tailored to fit the 20 pounds she'd lost. The prosecutor, Michelle, in a navy suit sharp enough to cut glass, asked her to explain the smart contract in plain English. "It's a vending machine," Evelyn said. "You put in $1, it gives you a candy bar. Except Victor programmed this one to give Serena a candy bar every time an investor put in $1, and he told the investors the machine was broken." Laughter rippled through the jury box. Serena's face remained serene, but her knuckles were white around her Mont Blanc pen. On cross, Serena's lead counsel, a man named Kessler, with a voice like a foghorn, tried to paint Evelyn as bitter. "Isn't it true, Mrs. Harlan, that you haven't written a line of code in over a decade?" "I haven't needed to," Evelyn said, "until my husband decided to write me out of the codebase." The courtroom erupted. The judge banged her gavel like a startup acquiring users. The turning point came on day 9. Michelle called a surprise witness, Raj Patel, the trustee who'd read the will. Under oath, he admitted Victor had asked him to backdate the trust amendment to avoid spousal consent laws. The gallery gasped. Serena's composure cracked. She whispered something to Kessler that looked suspiciously like, "Settle." They didn't settle. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, the foreperson, a woman who'd introduced herself as just a mom who day trades meme coins, read the verdict. "We find for the plaintiff, Evelyn Harlan, in the amount of $42 million, plus punitive damages to be determined." Serena stood as if to object, then sat back down. Her jumpsuit looked suddenly cheap under the fluorescent lights. Outside, the press swarmed. Evelyn slipped out a side door and walked to the Caltrain station. She bought a ticket to Mountain View with cash and sat by the window watching the suburbs blur past. Her phone buzzed with notifications. Serena Voss steps down from VC firm. Harlan Dynamics stock up 15% on fraud resolution. Hashtag Code Widow trends worldwide. She turned it off. The Atherton house sold at auction in November. Evelyn kept the lab. She converted the garage into a co-working space for women over 40 re-entering tech. The first cohort included a former NASA engineer, a laid-off Twitter PM, and a grandmother who taught herself Python during chemo. Ethan showed up on a rainy Thursday in December holding a cardboard tray of boba. He looked thinner, his beard patchy. He said, "I was wrong," he said without preamble, about everything. Evelyn let him in. They sat at the workbench where she'd once soldered circuits while he napped in a bouncer. She poured him tea from a thermos. "I thought Dad's legacy was the company," Ethan said. "But you were the compiler. Without you, none of it ran." She didn't cry. She had used up her tears in discovery. In February, Evelyn gave a TED Talk in Vancouver. The title? Debugging Betrayal: How I Rebooted My Life at 50. She wore a red blazer and sneakers printed with binary code. The audience, mostly 20-somethings in hoodies, hung on every word. She ended with the prototype tablet raised above her head like a trophy. "This is what I built before I built a family, and this," she gestured to the crowd, "is what I'm building now." Backstage, Ethan waited with a bouquet of succulents. "Mom," he said, grinning, "when did you get so good at keynotes?" "I always was," she said. "You just weren't listening." They hugged while the audience roared. Somewhere in the balcony, Michelle Park wiped her eyes with a linen handkerchief. No circuits this time. Spring came early to Palo Alto. The crabapple tree in the lab's courtyard bloomed pink and defiant. Evelyn stood beneath it in bare feet, sipping coffee from a mug that read, "There's no place like 127.0.0.1. Serena had moved to Portugal, last anyone heard. The Atherton house was now a coding academy for foster kids. Harlan Dynamics rebranded under new leadership with a mandate for radical transparency. And Evelyn had a new startup. It was small, bootstrapped, and built entirely on open source principles. The product? A blockchain auditor that flagged spousal fraud in real time. She called it Phoenix 8. On the first day of beta, she pushed the code to GitHub. The README ended with a single line. "For every wife who was told to stay in her lane, here's the map." She hit commit, closed the laptop, and walked outside. The sun was setting over the bay, painting the sky in gradients of orange and gold. Evelyn took off her shoes, felt the warm concrete under her soles, and for the first time in 25 years, danced to a rhythm that was entirely her own.